Welcome everyone. If you're here right now, it means one thing. There's something you want to learn. Maybe it's English. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's coding, or business, or music, or anything else. But somewhere deep inside, you've felt that frustration. Why can't I learn fast, like others? Why do I keep forgetting? Why does learning feel so hard for me? And maybe worst of all, maybe I'm just not smart enough. Let me tell you the truth. That voice in your head, it's lying to you. You are not broken. You are not dumb. You are not slow. You were just never taught how learning actually works. We live in a world where people are forced to memorize things they don't care about, then punished for forgetting, then judged for not being intelligent enough. When the truth is, our entire system of learning is upside down. We were never shown how the brain learns. We were never shown how to break skills down. We were never shown how to make learning stick fast and enjoyable. We were taught to suffer, not to understand. We were told to repeat, not to rethink. But today, all of that changes. This video is not made to impress you. It's made to free you, to take away the shame, to erase the confusion, to give you finally a real map to learning anything. So, if you've ever said, I can't learn this, then stay with me because the problem isn't you. The problem is the method you've been using. And I'm going to give you the best one, step by step. No magic, no shortcuts, just real powerful practical methods proven by science, experience, and let's begin. And remember, this video will not only teach you how to learn anything, it will also help you improve your English while you listen. So, make sure you subscribe because your journey to mastering everything starts right here. Step 1. Decide exactly what you want to learn. The number one mistake people make when trying to learn something. They say things like, I want to learn English. I want to get better at drawing. I want to be good at marketing. That's not a goal. That's a wish. And the brain doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to clarity. Think of your brain like a GPS. If you type somewhere nice into the map, it doesn't work. But if you type, I want to speak English confidently with native speakers in 6 months, suddenly your brain says, got it. Let's go. Let's say you want to learn English. That's too big, too vague, too general. Hair show to make it specific. I want to master 10 daily conversation topics this month. I want to understand 80% of an English movie without subtitles. I want to confidently introduce myself in under 60 seconds. That's real learning. Because now your brain knows where to aim. Why does this work? The brain is a goal-driven machine. When it has a clear outcome, it activates the reticular activating system, RA, a filter in your brain that says, this is important. Focus here. Remember this. That's why people who are clear learn fast and people who are vague stay stuck. So before you even begin learning, ask yourself, what exactly do I want to be able to do? What does success look like in 30 days? Can I describe this goal like I'm explaining it to a friend? If you can't answer that, pause everything. Because the first step of learning is not books. It's not watching YouTube. It's not buying a course. It's sitting down and deciding exactly what you want to learn and what success looks like in your mind. Once you do this, you go from confusion to precision, from noirs to signal, from I hope I learn to I will learn this. And that's the beginning of unstoppable learning. Step 2. Deconstruct the skill like a tree. You don't learn a forest. You learn a leaf. then a branch, then the tree. Let's say your goal is now clear. Example, I want to be able to give a 3-knot presentation in English. Perfect. But here's what most people do next. They just start practicing the HLS skill over and over. They repeat it, struggle, feel overwhelmed, and give up. Why? Because they try to learn the whole tree at once, instead of breaking it down into small, digestible parts. Imagine learning English speaking. Here's the wrong way. Watch random videos. Memorize full speeches. Get frustrated when you forget. Harass the right way. Deconstruct it like a tree. Root, vocabulary, trunk, sentence structure, branch, topics, introducing yourself, asking questions, telling stories, leaves, voice tone, confidence, speed, pronunciation. So, instead of learning everything at once, you isolate and master one part at a time. Day 1, 2, 3, just learn how to introduce yourself. Day 4 to 6, just learn how to talk about your hobbies. Day 7 to 9, just practice a skill. Each sub-school is small, learnable, measurable, and once you master the roots and branches, the full tree starts to grow automatically. Why is this so powerful? Because the brain learns faster through chunking. Breaking big concepts into smaller chunks helps memory, confidence, and speed. It also reduces anxiety because, instead of saying, I have to learn this huge thing, you say, I'm just working on this one leaf today. That's calming. That's focused. That's how winners learn. Want another real-life example? Let's say instead of trying to play a whole song, break it into root chords, trunk, transitions, branches, rhythm and strumming, leaves, speed, expression, improvisation. Then spend 3 days just mastering one chord, then another 3 days mastering transitions, then 4 days on rhythm. By the time we played the full song, it feels natural because you built it from the roots up. So remember this, learning is like growing a tree. Start with the root, then the branch, then the leaves. Don't try to grow the whole forest in one day. Step 3. Use first principle thinking, not blind copying. If you don't understand something deeply, you'll always be a slave to someone who does. Let's get honest for a second. What do most people do when they want to learn something? They open YouTube. They find the top video. They copy what that person is doing word for word. They memorize the formulas, the leans, the routines, and then they feel smart until life throws something slightly different at them, and suddenly they freeze. Why? Because they never understood the why behind the thing. They just copied the what. Blind copying feels productive, but it kills real. It builds dependence, not intelligence. It means this: don't start with how do others do it. Start with what do I absolutely know to be true, then build up from there. This is how Elon Musk learned rocket science without being a rocket scientist. He didn't say, how do other companies build rockets? He said, what is a rocket made of? How much do those materials cost? Why does Averian say this must be so expensive? What's the real physics behind it? Heasked. What's the truth beneath the method? And from there he reinvented dough rockets are made. Wrong way. Copy-paste. This is what my boss says on a call. So I'll say the same thing. Right way, first principle thinking. Why do we open with a question instead of a pitch? Why does the client always pause here? What is the real fear behind their hesitation? How can I solve that before they even speak? Now, you're not learning sales scripts. You're learning human psychology. That's deeper. That's permanent. Because once you start using first principle thinking, you become someone who doesn't just learn fast. You become someone who can create your own method, your own ideas, your own breakthroughs. You go from, how do they do it to, here's how I will do it, and here's why. And that is the beginning of mastery. Step 4. Spend twice the time doing it watching. You don't learn to swim by watching a video. You learn by getting wet. Let's destroy another lie of if I consume enough information, I'll become smart. No, if that were true, everyone with a YouTube account would be millionaire. Everyone who watched gym videos would have six-pack. Everyone who listens to English podcasts would be fluent. But they're not, because watching does not equal learning. Listening does not equal fluency. Reading does not equal transformation. Here's the real truth. You learn when you implement. You grow in, you apply. And you must spend twice the time doing something as you do watching or reading about it. If you spend 30 minutes watching a video, spend 60 minutes doing what that video said. Otherwise, your brain just becomes a storage unit or fantastic theory, not a learning machine. Let's say you watch a 20-minute English. Most people not feel smart. Close the video. Forget everything in 2 days. But what should you do? Pause the video every 1 to 2 minutes. Say their sentences out loud. Record yourself speaking. Compare it to the speaker. Use those phrases in real conversations that day. Write down 2 to 3 things you will learn and repeat them at night. That's how you make knowledge enter the muscle. Imagine you're learning graphic design. You watch 3 tutorials on Photoshop. Instead of watching all of them back to back, do this. Watch 5 minutes. Pause. Open Photoshop. Try it yourself. Make mistakes. Go back. Fix. Try again. Then re-watch with your mistake in mind. You will learn 5 times faster than someone who watches 10 videos and never touches the software. When you consume, you activate passive memory. When you do, you activate procedural memory. And procedural memory is the memory of real skills. That's the memory that stays. That's the memory that changes your life. Watching gives you the map. Dong teaches you the terrain. And the terrain is always different from the map. If you want to learn anything, spend less time watching and more time walking. Becasino, one ever learned to ride a bike by watching someone else pedal. They learned by falling and standing up and trying again. Your brain needs movement, not just motivation. Step 5. Use the 10,000-hour rule wisely. You've probably heard it. To master anything, you need 10,000 hours of practice. And that's true, but also very misunderstood. Most people think, okay, so if I just stow this for 10 years, I'll become a master. Wrong. If you practice the wrong way for 10,000 hours, you don't become a master. You become deeply average. Let me give you a real example. How many hours have you spent driving in your life? Maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000, maybe more. But here's the truth. You're not improving anymore. You're not becoming a Formula 1 driver. You're not learning new skills. You're just doing the same thing automatically. That's not mastery. That's repetition without improvement. And this is the mistake most people make. They clock the hours, but they didn't improve the skill. They confuse time with transformation. The original idea came from psychologist Anders Ericsson, not Malcolm Gladwell, who made it famous. Ericsson didn't say, just do something for 10,000 hours. He said, You need 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. That means you need feedback. You need to be slightly uncomfortable. You need to measure improvement. You need to fix mistakes in real time. That's the secret. It's not just practice. It's deliberate practice. Let's say you want to become a top-level chef. Wrong way. What most people do, cook the same 3 recipes over and over. Use the same ingredients. Stick to heart you already know. Avoid risk or discomfort. You'll get good, but you won't grow. Right way. Deliberate practice. Every week, try a dish that's harder than last week. Use a new spice or cooking method. Ask someone to rate your. Compare it with a restaurant version. Fix what you did wrong. Keep a cooking journal. Now your hours build skill. You're not just repeating, you're evolving. Your brain enters a state called deep, when the task is just hard enough to stretch you, but not so hard that it breaks you. This is called the Goldilocks zone, of learning too easy. Boredom to hard frustration, just right mastery. So every day, ask yourself, is today's task slightly harder than yesterday? Did I challenge my brain today? Did improv anything even by 1%? If yes, then your 10,000 hours will build mastery. If no, then you're just wasting time in a loop. Don't just spend time. Invest focus, track improvement, fix mistakes, stretch yourself. That's how 10,000 hours becomes transformation. That's how amateurs become masters. Step 6. The 20-hour kickstart formula. Now, let's flip the mindset. What if you didn't want to be a master right now? What if you just want to get good enough to start? Good enough to hold a conversation, play a basic song, write a basic code, cook your first real dish, launch your first video. That's where this step comes in. This is called the 20-hour rule, made popular by Josh Kaufman, and it's simple. With just 20 hours of focused, smart effort, you can go from 0 to surprisingly good at almost anything. Not world-class, not expert, but good now to start. And starting is what 99% of people never do, because 20 hours equals about 45 minutes a day for 1 month. That's enough to build basic muscle memory. That's enough to conquer initial fear. That's in auto go from confused to competent. It's the momentum formula. It turns a mountain into a staircase. Let's say you've never touched a piano before. You could wait years to become a musician. Or you could say, I want to play one simple, beautiful song in 30 days. Here's the plan. Hour 1 to 2, learn finger placement and notes. Hour 3 to 5, practice left hand, right hand separately. Hour 6 to 9, combine both hands slowly. Hour 10 to 15, add basic timing and rhythm. Hour 16 to 18, record yourself, watch back, fix. Hour 19 to 20, perform for someone, get feedback, refine. Result, you go from nothing to aerial moment of musical joy. You are in less than a month. You built a skill. You created something beautiful. You proved to your brain, I can learn this. And that belief is fuel for the next skill. Most people fail to learn not big, 'cause the skill is hard. They fail because they never make it past the first 10 hours. They get stuck in confusion, self-doubt, procrastination, fear of looking stupid, waiting for. The 20-hour method forces you to say, let's just begin. Less gesturing. And that first success, it's addictive. Take a notebook, write skill, photography, 20-hour challenge. Make 20 boxes. Each day, tick one box after 1 hour of real focused practice. Day by day, box by box, you build something new. And by day 20, you'll have a new skill, a new identity, and a new belief in yourself. Mastery takes years, but progress that starts today. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Just give yourself 20 hours. You'll be shocked at how powerful your brain becomes once you actually start using it. Steps even research deeply on each So, you've defined your goal. You've broken the skill into parts. You've started practicing, watching, doing. Now, here's a question most people never ask. How much do I know about this subtask I'm working on? Because most people only research the main topic, not the individual pieces. They say, I want to learn photography. So, they search how to be a better photographer. But that's too big. It's like trying to eat the whole elephant in one bite. Let's say you want to bake a perfect chocolate cake. Most people will watch one video, get a recipe, try it once, fail, feel disappointed. But a smart learner, a deep learner, breaks it down and says, wait, what are the individual subtasks here? Mixing the batter, how do different mixing speeds change texture? Choosing flour. What's the difference between cake, flour, and all-purpose? Using cocoa, what kind of cocoa gives the richest flavor? Baking temperature. What if I bake at 170 C versus 180 C? Frosting techniques. How do professionals make it smooth and glossy? Each of those is a tiny universe of knowledge, and each one has its own experts, techniques, and common mistakes. If you just try the cake without researching these elements, it's like going to war without weapons. But if you spend 15 minutes per sub-school doing deep research, reading articles, comparing videos, watching failures and successes, your brain builds a library of patterns. And once you see the patterns, you stop guessing. You start knowing. Let's say you want to learn video. Most beginners just open a tool and try editing a vlog. But deep learners research each subtask. Cutting. What's the best cutting rhythm for emotional storytelling? Transitions. What's the difference between cinematic cuts versus basic slides? Color grading. What colors make a scene feel warm versus intense versus nostalgic? Sound design. How does background music change audience emotion? Text animation. What fonts increase trust? What animations are most modern? They don't just edit. They study the science and psychology of each part. They watch top editors break down their projects. They pause videos and ask, why did they cut here? Why did they use this shot? What emotion does this create? That's not watching. That's dissecting. Because when you do deep subtask research, you avoid beginner mistakes. You spot shortcuts pros use. You build faster muscle memory. You stop wasting time fixing the same errors. You learn 10 times more from every hour you practice. Think of it this way. Learning without subtask research is like building a house with your eyes closed. You might hammer nails, but you'll never know if the walls are straight. But when you study the parts, you build a foundation that won't fall. Every great learner is also a great researcher, not just of what to do, but of why it works, how it's built, and what makes it. Before you do the next task, ask, what's the one thing about this step I haven't researched yet? What do top-level people know about this that I don't? What's the hidden detail most people ignore here? That's how you go from surface level to surgical. That's how you make your learning process bulletproof. Step 8. Practice in public, not in. Most people hide when they learn something new. They say, I'll show people when I'm ready. I'll speak when I'm perfect. I'll launch it after it's flawless. I'll post it when it's better. That sounds smart, but it's actually a trap. Because when you wait until you're perfect, you never feel ready. You never truly learn. Let's say you're learning sketching or digital art. You've been practicing quietly for months, but no one's ever seen your work. You hide your drawings. You compare yourself to artists on Instagram, and you keep thinking, I'll post when I'm good enough. But here's the truth. You don't become good enough in private. You become good enough by putting your work into the world, unfinished, imperfect, and real. When you practice in public, 3 things happen. 1. You feel pressure, and pressure builds. When someone's watching, your brain sharpens. You speak more clearly. You perform more carefully. You try harder. 2. You get feedback, not fantasy. People will tell you what's working, what confused them, what moved. You get real-world reactions, not your own assumptions. 3. You become immune to fear. Every time you share something imperfect, your fear shrinks, your skin thickens, your courage multiplies. Let's say you want to become a YouTuber. Most people watch tutorials for 6 months, practice filming alone, delete all the drafts, wait for the perfect camera, perfect voice, perfect idea. But the smart learner says, let me post my first 30-con video today. No edits, no filters, just my honest message. And then they post one again tomorrow and again the next day. And suddenly you've learned more in 3 days of public action than they would have in 3 months of private practice. Other ways to practice in public. Upload your daily progress on Instagram. Share your sketches, even if they're unfinished. Publish your learning notes on a blog. Host a free online class after just 10 days of study. Join a community and do live challenges. Ask friends to review your work honestly. Build in public. Speak in public. Fail in public. Because the fastest learners are not their most talented. They're the most exposed. They're not hiding. They're visible, vulnerable, brave. Don't hide your learning. Show your journey. Speak before you're fluent. Create before you're ready. Teach before you're perfect. Every skill you're learning right now will multiply 3 times. Faster themament, you step out of the shadows and practice in the light. Step 9. Learn by teaching. Let me ask you something. When you explain something to some of your Neils, don't you suddenly realize what you don't know? That's not a weakness. That's the hidden power of teaching. Teaching isn't just for experts. Teaching is a learning accelerator. When you teach, your brain organizes knowledge, identifies gaps, clarifies concepts, strengthens memory, and boosts confidence. It's like the brain says, okay, now we have to explain this. Let's clean up the mess in here first. One of the smartest people to ever live, Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman, used a simple trick to learn any subject faster than anyone else. And he called it explain it to a child. Here's how it works. Learn the topic normally. Pretend you're teaching it. Toa. Write down your explanation in simple words. If you get stuck, go back and study that part again. Repeat until you can explain the entire thing simply. This is now known as the Feynman Technique, and it has helped millions of people around the world master everything from physics to finance. Why does it work? Because complex word-shide confusion. but simple explanations reveal understanding. If you can't teach it simply, you haven't really learned it. When you try to teach something, your brain shifts from consumer mode to creator mode, has to connect all the pieces together, is forced to check logic, flow, and clarity, has to recall from memory, not just recognize information. That's what creates real learning. Most people only recognize knowledge, but when you teach, you have to reproduce it from inside your own brain. And that's when the neurons start building highways, not dirt roads. Let's say you're learning personal finance, budgeting, saving, investing. After watching a video or reading a book, try this. Take a blank page. Pretend your younger brother or sister just asked, "Hey, how do I save money every month?" Now try to explain what budgeting is, why most people overspend, what apps or methods can help, why saving before spending works better. Use simple words, no jargon. If you get stuck, go back, relearn, rewrite. Do this once a week with everything you learn. You will 10 times your learning speed, your attention, and your clarity, and you'll become the type of person who can teach, not just talk. Learning something for yourself is level 1. Teaching it to someone else is level 10. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be honest, curious, and willing to share, because the brain that teaches becomes the brain that masters. Step 10. Never multitask while learning. Your brain is powerful, but only when it's single-minded. We live in the most distracted generation in history. Notifications, tabs, group chats, scrolling, switching between videos, texts, apps, thoughts. And then we wonder why we can't remember anything. Let me give you the brutal truth. Multitasking is not a superpower. It's a brain killer. Example, Kobe Bryant, one of the great basketball players of all time, was known for his insane focus. He trained for sunrise. He repeated the same moves hundreds of times. And during training, no phone, no talking, no music, just practice. Someone once asked him, "Why don't you mix it up a little? Try new drills." He replied, "Why would I mix it up before I master the basics?" That's the power of not asking. Laser-locked learning. Science has proven this again and again. Your brain can't do 2 complex tasks at the same time. It can only switch between them, and every time it switches, it loses speed, accuracy, and memory strength. This is called cognitive switching cost. Every time you switch from learning telephone to back to learning, your brain gets slower, your focus gets thinner, your memory gets weaker, your skill building takes longer. It's like trying to boil water, but you keep turning the flame off every 10 seconds. The pot never boils. Let's say you're learning to code a new programming language. Here's what most people do. Watch a tutorial with 20 tabs upon. Reply to messages in between. Get distracted by YouTube recommendations. Try to absorb everything while half listening. That's not learning. Here's what a focused learner does. Closes all tabs. Puts phone in another room. Opens just one screen. Code plus lesson. Sets a 40-minute timer. Does nothing else but code, test, fail, fix, then takes a real break, then comes back again. This method is called deep work, and it's how people learn in hour sweat. Others take weeks to grasp. Every year, Bill Gates disappears for a full week. No meetings, no emails, no internet, just books, notebooks, thinking, planning. He calls it Think Week. He says it's the most productive learning time of his life Because there are zero distractions. He reads, reflects, writes, creates, all in silence. That's silence. It's not empty, it's power. You don't need a week. You just need 1 hour a day. Why? With no noise, no switching, no chaos. That's when the real learning begins. Your brain is like a laser, but only when you stop treating it like a disco ball. Don't try to learn while texting. Don't study while watching TV. Don't build your dream while chasing notifications. Give your brain the gift of full presence, and it will reward you with speed, clarity, and retention beyond your imagination. Step 11. Identity, willpower. Become the learner. How many times have you said, I want to learn this. I just need to stay consistent. I'm going to be disciplined this time. I'll force myself to do it. And then, after 2 days, you fall off. You get bussy. You forget. You feel guilty. And then you say, I don't have in you. Let me tell you something most people never hear in their life. Willpower is not the problem. Your identity is example. James Clear, author of James Clear once shared a powerful story. He said, imagine 2 people trying to quit smoking. You offer both a cigarette. The first one says, no, I'm trying to quit. The second one says, no thanks. I don't smoke. Now think, who do you think is more likely to succeed? The second one. Because the first person still sees themselves as a smoker who's trying. But the second person, they've already become non-smoker. That's the power of identity. If you say, I'm trying to learn coding, I'm forcing myself to learn guitar. I need to push myself to read. You're someone outside the learning identity. But if you shift to, I'm a builder, I create with code. I'm a musician. I just haven't performed yet. I'm a reader. I learn something every day. Now, your brain doesn't ask, should I do this today? It says this is who I am. And when identity is aligned, action becomes automatic. Let's say you're learning design. Instead of saying, I'm learning design, say, I'm a designer. I show up every day to get better at my craft. Then change your phone wallpaper to your favorite designer quote. Put designer in your social bio. Join a community of other learners. Create a folder called My Work, not practice stuff. Share your process like an artist, not like a student. Your identity becomes your engine. No more begging yourself, no more guilt, just natural alignment. Discipline fades, identity lasts. Stop chasing motivation. Start shaping identity. Because once you've become the learner, learning becomes your lifestyle, not a task on your to-do. Step 12. Fall in love with boring repetition. Let's tell the hard truth. Every skill you admire, every genius you respect, every talent you wish you had was built on millions of boring repetition. The part that's not fun, the part that feels slow, the part where anything exciting is happening, the part that most people skip. But that's the most successful learners don't run from boredom. They fall in love with it. Bruce Lee, legendary martial artist, once said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. People think he became a legend through variety. No, he became a legend through obsession. The same punch again, the same kick again, the same move again, day after day, boring, repetitive, and focused until it became muscle memory, until it became instinct, until his body and mind merged. And that's when genius shows up. Every time you repeat a task, your brain strengthens a neural pathway. The task becomes easier to access. You use less energy to perform it. It eventually becomes automatic. This is called myelinatation. Your brain literally wraps your neurons in protective coating when you repeat the same task again and again. More repetition equals faster, cleaner brain signals. And that's why top learners don't chase new things. They chase flawless execution of the same thing. Let's say you're learning to play the violin. At first, playing one scale is exciting, but after 3 days, your brain says, this is boring. And that's where 99% of people quit. But the 1%, they smile. They say, now it begins. So you do the same scale again. You play it 20 times, then 50, then 100. Each time you adjust your hand position, you listen to your tone. You control your bow more softly. You notice details others ignore. By the 100th time, you're an IT just playing notes. You're building mastery. Track progress even in... Today, I played this scale 30 times. Tomorrow, 31. Celebrate tiny wins even if no one sees them. Giphy the repetition. Add timers, challenges. Visualize who you're becoming while repeating. Train your mind to say, this is the moment everyone else gives up, and I won't. The path to mastery is paved with boredom, and those who embrace it rise. While the world is chasing novelty, you're building greatness through patience. Fall in love with the repetition, because every world-ass result is hidden inside the moment when you feel like quitting. Step 13. Use brain anchors. Connect new with old. Here's a hidden truth nobody tells you about the brain. Your brain doesn't remember information by itself. It remembers connections. It's not like a hard drive. It's like a spider web. Every new idea needs to stick to something old or it slips away. That's why when people try to learn something be pure memorization, it doesn't last. They try to force it in. But the brain is asking, where does this fit into what I already know? If you can answer that, learning becomes 5 times faster. If you can't, it becomes 10 times harder. Think of your brain like a giant library. Now, imagine you get a brand new book, but you don't label it, categorize it, or place it anywhere. You just toss it into a random room. After 1 week, you want to read it again, but where is it? It's lost. That's what happens when you learn something new without attaching it to something old. Now imagine you write the book's title, place it under a section, alphabetize it, cross-reference it with other books. Now finding that book becomes instant. That's how your brain works. Learning is not just storing, it's organizing. And organizing means anchoring new with old. Let's say you're learning the basics of investing. You come across the term compound interest. Now, if you just try to memorize the formula A equals P asterisk 1 plus Rn to the power of Nt, you'll forget it in 3 days. But if you anchor it to something you already know, like this. Compound interest is like planting a tree. At first, it grows slowly, but as the years pass, it grows faster and faster because the leaves and branches also start growing leaves and branches. It's nature's version of financial acceleration. Now, your brain has a visual anchor. Tree equals compound interest. It's connected to your existing knowledge of growth in nature. It makes sense. You'll never forget it now. Types of brain anchors you can use. Visual anchors link the concept to a shape, color, movement, or pattern. Example, CPU is the brain of a computer. Visual metaphor. Story anchors. Turn it into a mini-story, analogy, or scene. Example, saving money is like building a dam before the flood. Emotion anchors. Connect it to something that made you laugh, cry, or react. Example, remembering a quote because it hit you hard. Location anchors. Link it to a place where you studied it. Example, I read this on the balcony at sunset. I still remember the page. Sequence ensures. Connect new concepts to previous steps in a routine. Example, eat ways. Review new vocabulary after lunch while walking. My brain expects it. Unanchored knowledge disappears, but anchored knowledge sticks, grows, and multiplies. Every time you learn something, ask, what does this remind me of? Where have I seen this pattern before? Can I turn this into a picture, a story, or a comparison? That's how you stop memorizing and start remembering. That's how you build a brain that keeps what it learns. Step 14. Track progress like a scientist. Most learners don't track anything. They just hope they're improving. They practice daily but forget what they did. Read articles but don't review. Watch tutorials but don't measure progress. Learn but never check how far they've come. And then they say, I don't think I'm getting better. That's not failure. That's missing data. Because here's the truth. The brain forgets improvement, but numbers don't. If you want to grow fast, consistently, and with full motivation, you must learn to track like a scientist. Imagine a room that's too. You want it to become warmer, so you light a small fire. Now imagine Yahav, no thermometer, no way to measure temperature. You just guess whether it's getting better. Every 10 minutes you feel the air. Sometimes it feels warmer. Sometimes it doesn't. You get frustrated. You say, this isn't working, but maybe the room is warming just slowly. You just can't see it. Now imagine you place a thermometer on the wall. Every 10 minutes you write them. Now you can track 16 point to see. 16.9 grados, 17.4, C, 18.0. Even if you don't feel the difference, you can see the improvement. That's what progress tracking does. Let's say you're learning digital art. Here's a simple system. Create a progress folder. Every week, save one drawing. Label it with date and mood. Week 3, portrait practice. Frustrated but trying, shading, bright weekly reflections. What did you learn? What confused you? What improved? Set measurable micro goals. This week, master eye sketching. Next week, practice light source shading for 3 days. Take monthly review days. Compare this month's work to last month. Identify patterns. I always get stuck with proportions. I'll fix that next month. Now your learning becomes a living experiment, not a random effort. Builds motivation. Seeing even 1% improvement gives your brain dopamine. It says this is working. Let's keep going. Fixes mistakes faster. Tracking shows you where you're repeating errors. You stop guessing. You start adjusting. Gives you a story. You no longer say, I'm trying to learn. You say, I've grown from this to this. And that story, it builds belief. Progress is not a feeling. Progress is a record track. What you do, track what you learned. Track what worked and what didn't, because your brain may forget what it did last Tuesday, but your progress journal won't. And when you see your own journey written in front of you, you will never doubt your power to learn again. Let me leave you with this. You were never bad at learning. You were never slow. You were never behind. You were simply never shown how. But now you know the truth. You know the map. You know the tools. You know the path. So no more waiting, no more fear, no more I'm not ready. Because from this moment forward, you are the learner. You are the creator. You are the one who transforms knowledge into power. And if you follow even a few of these steps, your future self will look back and say, that was the day everything changed. Now go learn anything and never stop growing.